Hi, this is the History of Israel podcast, an Eat My Own Beat podcast. Over the coming weeks, months, and years, we'll be discussing the history of Israel. This is not a podcast to say which side is right, which side is wrong. It's not a podcast to talk about the war which is happening in Palestine. It's just simply the history of Israel.
Welcome back to episode 46 of the History of Israel podcast. The Umayyad Period. Syria became the metropolitan province of the Umayyad Caliphate, which Umayyad founded and whose capital was Damascus. Syria's history under the Umayyad rule was essentially the history of the Umayyad dynasty. According to the historians Henry Lamens and Clifford Edmund Bosworth, Umayyad had a son, Yazid I, son of the Kalbi woman. Recognized as his successor, Yazid I was opposed by the people of Hejaz, whose revolt against him was crushed by Syria's troops at the Battle of Al-Hara. The Syrians proceeded to besiege Mecca in 683, but withdrew to Syria after Yazid I died. Meccan leader of the revolt, Ibn al-Zubayr, was recognized as the caliph across much of the Muslim empire, while Yazid I's son and successor, Muawiyah II, succumbed to the plague. My apologies. The Kalb and other loyalist tribes selected under Umayyad Marwan I as caliph, and he moved to secure the dynasty's Syrian heartland. With these tribes' support, he defeated the Qays tribes and other supporters of Ibn al-Zubayr at the Battle of Marj Rahit, north of Damascus in 684. Under his son and successor, Abd al-Malik, Syrian troops reconquered the rest of the Caliphate and killed Ibn al-Zubayr in a second siege of Mecca. A standing army composed of the Syrian tribal solidarity was established under the Caliph and his sons and the successors. Abd al-Malik inaugurated a more Arab Islamic government in Syria by changing the language of its bureaucracy from Greek to Arabic, switching from the Byzantine coinage to strictly Islamic currency, and building the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, which he may have promoted as an additional center of Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca. Abd al-Malik's son and successor, al-Walid, ruled with autocratic tendencies and less tolerance for the non-Muslims in Syria and the empire in general, which reached its greatest territorial extent during his reign. He largely demolished the Christian Basilica of St. John in Damascus and built in its place the landmark Great Umayyad Mosque. He achieved great popularity among Syrian Arabs during his rule and that of successors. Damascus retained his role as the administrative capital of the empire, but the caliphs increasingly resided in their country estates in the Syrian steppe. After a period of stagnation, the Caliph Hisham restored the prestige of the Umayyad Caliphate through administrative reforms, state building, and austerity, though the conquest ground to a halt. His successor, al-Walid II, was assassinated, sparking the Third Muslim Civil War. His successor, Yazid III, died after a few months, followed by the weak rule of Ibrahim. Marwan II took control of the Caliphate, crushed the Syrian tribal opponents, and shifted the capital to Haran, outside of Syria, which increased Syrian opposition to his rule.
This has been the History of Israel podcast. Check back every Wednesday for new episodes. We're available on Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify. We also have each episode streaming on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. We're available on eatmyownbeat.com as well as the History of Israel podcast on Facebook.